Alright, welcome to a weapon episode ranking. We're gonna rank each weapon that is craftable from this episode. I might do a whole, conglomerate of these. Maybe do some of the Pale Heart weapons as well. As you can see, this tier list actually has a crap ton of weapons. But today we're just going to focus on these 10 weapons here. We're going to start with really the least notable and work our way up the list. And in my opinion, probably the least notable is our friend here, Omen. It's a caster frame. And it's not the worst sword in the game, although it probably is. The perks you can get out, you can get On Guard if you want to do some extra damage with it. One for all, I'm a one for all simp, but for this, it doesn't really make sense. I mean, honestly, caster frames are just not good at this moment. I don't know if they've ever been good, if I'm being honest. But it's a sword. There's that. That's yeah, it's a D, if you can't tell. It's in the D tier for a reason. So Faithkeeper is okay. It's maybe a step above it. It is a rocket launcher. I highly suggest auto-loading explosive light, although because it is a precision frame, it does get a automatic debuff to its damage. Not really a debuff, but it won't do as much as it auto-tracks. And because it auto-tracks, I think it's about a 25% damage reduction for that specific frame of rocket launcher. So if you're going to use this rocket launcher, probably use it in lower level activities where you won't feel the damage reduction as much. That being said, there are some artifact mods this season that might not make it as noticeable. And the tracking as well is really nice depending on what you're doing. Like if you're fighting Samuma and goes to the deep, maybe you want tracking, as missed DPS, as we all know, is no DPS. So if the boss is weaving and bobbing, you might want this rocket launcher to help out with that. Alright, so next is the Timeworn Warrior, which we're going to put just ahead of Faithkeeper. I think the combination of heal clip and incan is just a fun combination. Scouts are just not in a great position right now, so that's kind of a result of its weapon type, not necessarily the perk combinations you can get. And Luna's Howl with this combination, great. A Barron Action, which of course we'll get to shortly here, is also just really solid because rocket sidearms are in a great place and hand cannons are really good. If scouts get a buff down the line, you could see this maybe move to an A tier, maybe A+, maybe B+, but for right now I'd put it B-, C+ area. It's good, it's not great. That brings us to Chronophage, which is it's a trace rifle, but honestly I'm fond of this. Take it with a grain of salt, this is my opinion. I love using some Gear Falcons builds, and I am a Desperate Measures simp, and it turns out, well, this gun has Desperate Measures on it. And not only that, it has Repulsor Brace as well. So not only with this on Gear Falcon's Hunter, you're going to get your overshield that lasts for quite a bit. You're also going to get a damage buff from Desperate Measures with the chance to, you can get 10, 20, and ultimately 30% if you can keep that timer up. It's really nice, and Desperate Measures is probably one of the easiest among damage perks to keep up. Of course, it is sometimes hard depending on your build and whether or not you have enough uptime on certain things. But, I mean, it's free damage, right? You get your first initial kill with the weapon, you throw a grenade, then you keep shooting with it. You can just refresh it with kills at that point once you get the time. So yeah, Desperate Measures is going to come up more than once in this video. So I just want to get that out of the way, why some of these guns with Desperate Measures are somewhat high on this list. But Chronophage, it could be higher on this list. I just think it's, it's good, but it's not great, so to speak. There are some, obviously, the exotic trace rifles, which are better, and it would be great to see a more usable Void trace rifle that was exotic eventually. But Cold Heart and Prometheus lens are really, really solid overall. Plus, there are just other guns in the game that you can use over a trace rifle, like a Barron Action, that are just so much better in the large picture, right? Because a Barron Action's a DPS weapon, whereas Chronophage, it might wipe some ads really quickly, but that's about it. Alright, next we have Veiled Threat, which I'm kind of on the fence. I'm kind of going to put it in like a B- here. Veiled Threat is the first craftable stasis auto, which doesn't really give it that much for this rating. But again, it's a weapon with desperate measures. I don't use it as much as I hoped I would. I just don't think this weapon's that great overall. That being said, I do enjoy Strategist and Desperate Measures. Desperate Measures for the damage buff, and Strategist for getting your class ability back. Which, if you're on a hunter, getting your class ability back means that you can constantly refresh your melee. Which means you can kind of do this loop with this weapon. You get a couple kills, you get your class ability back. That allows you to use your melee to keep Desperate Measures up. So there is a use for it. There are just so many good exotic primaries in the game right now. Outbreak, Necrochasm, Kvostov, Thorn, I mean the list goes on, right? That using this gun, I mean, like, are we actually going to do that? Are we going to use it over the Call? Are we going to use it over Midnight Coup? Probably not. And, you know, if we're not using an exotic special or heavy, are we not going to have Kvostov or Necrochasm taped to that slot? Well, we're probably going to have those guns to that slot over this stasis auto. So, while it does have some decent perks, it's, you know, just not good enough to be used over other choices. Man, oh man, have we been saturated with pulse rifles, right? We had Nullify this season, and we've got Red Death from the season pass, and also Corasan. We have Corasan, the Arc pulse rifle, which is another heavy burst pulse, which is another one I'm quite on the fence about. You know, it's good. The perk combos are nice. I do like the heavy burst. It does give like another realm of pulse rifles, so to speak. Like we have regular sidearms, and now we have rocket sidearms. But this is like a whole other domain. Like rocket sidearms are to regular sidearms. And, you know, it's good to see, so to speak. I don't think it really changes these guns that much. I haven't used them in PvP, so I'm sure there's some crazy rolls out there. Although Scholar Potential from Season of the Wish in PvP is amazing, so I don't know if I'd use that or this. Probably Scholar Potential from Season of the Wish. But Corasan is fun to use with arc builds because you have eddy current. So while you're amplified, you're going to see some gameplay of me using it. You get that increased reload speed buff. It's probably the only time I've really used any eddy current. You know, the reload speed and handling is nice because you're probably going to put Volt Shot on this for PvE, and you want that increased reload speed to help. And it feels nice, I will say, to have a weapon that hits like a truck at long range, and to have that increased reload speed and handling and all that. It's nice. Again, there are just some really, really strong exotic weapons out there that are better than this. Pulse rifles are in a really good spot right now, so I do think this probably gets a little bit more use for people who maybe don't have better exotic pulse rifles. But overall, this weapon's, it's fun, but that's about it. I mean, again, with a really nice arc build, it really takes this to another level. Again, I don't know if you use this in an arc build, because arc isn't overall in a good place right now. On Arc Hunter, with the like 86 resilience or resistance buff with the Gifted Conviction, I love this thing. For Warlock, maybe if you had an amplified prismatic build, you could use this thing. And Titan Arc is just, I'm sorry, Titans, it's not looking good, Chief. Aside from that, I don't really know if you would use it. That's why Eddy Current does kind of limit it a little bit, because if you're not using Arc or Prismatic, then are you really going to use this pulse rifle? Probably not. So it is a little niche. and that's why it's a little bit lower on the list. Sightline Survey, the 180 hand cannon, and all I have to say is, why do we keep getting 180 hand cannons? Like, I feel like it's not Halloween yet, but I feel like Bungie, we keep going to Bungie and we're like, hey, can we get a 140? And instead of a 140, they're like, no, have this 180. It's like going to the house with pretzels. Like, you want the big candy bars. You always hit up the houses with the big candy bars. You know that's where those are the 140 hand cannons, right? When you get the pretzels, which pretzels are good, I'm saying, but you want the big candy bars, not pretzels on Halloween. That's what you're getting. Pretzels is Sightline Survey, okay? And it's not to say it's not bad. It's like a C minus, C plus. Like, it's okay. Volt Shot automatically makes it good, but again, it's a 180. Nation of Beast, which you can see right here. Nation of Beast A tier. Let's just get that clear. Like, that's essentially what this weapon is trying to be. And can we just get more 140s? I mean, we got Midnight Coup. I know we got Midnight Coup, and we did get a new 2-burst hand cannon. Is Pale Heart weapon. I think it's called Action. This one right here. We did get that one as well. So we got plenty of new hand cannons. Can we get some 140s up in here? Maybe 150. Bring 150s back. That'd be fun. We just have so many 180 RPM hand cannons, right? I'm gonna come down here with me for a second. So you have Posterity, you have the Ikelos one, you have Optative, you have Word of Crota. There's a couple more in here somewhere, but you get my point, right? There's so many 180 hand cannons when you compare it to 140s. Now overall, you know, that balances out, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world, but it would have been nice to see this as a 140 instead. 140 Void in particular, but instead we got another 180 Arc when we have Posterity existing, you know, in its own. I know that maybe not everyone wants to go do Deepstone Crypts, but it's not that hard to just LFG it, I guess. Maybe. Who knows? Anyways, it's okay. Volt Shot, cool, great. But Posterity already has that, so if you're someone who has Posterity, why are you going to chase after this? I honestly would love to know, because it's pointless. Next we have Speleologist, which I've only played around a little bit with, so we are going to smack it in the B tier. And it is nice to have something else aside from fixed odds to kind of shake up the solar machine gun meta, so to speak. And this is a 900 RPM machine gun, and it go burr. It genuinely go burr. Stats for all in can is a fun combination on this thing. I was using it with my Caliban's build, which you can slap on Solar Fulmination in the artifact, and ignition's on crack, my guys. I mean, it's just so fun. Speleologist for sure is a definite good one here. B+ is what I would give this thing. It's a really fun gun. I would almost put it in A tier, but it is going to shred through ammo pretty quickly, so that is probably the only negative, is that right there. Stats for all does help with that reload, and again, you can just take out ads so quickly. I mean, in Onslaught, when you're doing your ads, that's where I'd use this thing. It would be so good, and obviously you swap off to a DPS when you hit that boss phase, but man alive is it fun. Alright, we're down to the last two here, and you can probably imagine why. This one, I'm kind of like B+, but I think I'm gonna give it A- just because A looks lonely up here, but also because it is kind of fun. You know, it's like baby Witherhoard at home. You know, I forgot my Witherhoard in the car, but I have this grenade launcher right here, which is called Lost Signal, by the way. You know, it's not bad. Stats for all, 1 for all is the combination I tried. I might change that because it doesn't feel amazing to me. I feel like auto-loading makes a little bit more sense for this one. But, you know, I am a stats for all, 1 for all simp, so I wanted to give that a try on this. Because, you know, you can reload pretty quickly and you get a little bit of a damage buff as well. But I'm not sure if that's the route you want to go with this weapon, so maybe you want to not follow the same path I have. But it is just nice to have a legendary version of Witherhoard, so to speak. You can kind of shoot this down in an area where ads are spawning, and it will do some damage, and you switch to a primary and, you know, help increase that damage. It's a fun weapon for sure, and it doesn't really quite match up to a Barron Action here, but it's a fun weapon for sure. It's cool to get more weapons like this, guns that we've never really seen before. We have a lot of grenade launchers in the game, and really the most unique ones are this one and Mountaintop. So hopefully we see more of this type of innovation when it comes to weapons. And of course, last but not least is a Barron Action, another heel clip incandescent gun. And you can put some other stuff on this sidearm, but rocket assisted frame sidearms are just the new thing. They are so good, and this might not be my favorite one just because the call is so good, and the arc one I'm blanking on right now, future me will tell you the name of it, from Warlord's Ruin, is also really good. You know, it might be a little oversaturation at this point on these sidearms, even though we only have 3 in the game, but they're just so dominant that, you know, if you're using anything else, what are you doing? Maybe not throwing necessarily, but probably close to it. I mean, they're that good. They can do a little bit of DPS, they clear ads like nothing. They just erase them from existence. And not to mention, this one can blow stuff up with Incan and heal you after you get a kill and reload. It's just so good. And yeah, as for the origin trait for these weapons, I didn't really talk about it, but you know, it is cool to have that little pool of radiolarian fluid. I don't know if this is the most, it's definitely not the most useful origin trait out there, but it's cool to give the Vex a little taste of their own medicine, so to speak. You know, a little bit of that milk. Anyways, that's it for the ranking. Screenshot it, flame me in the comments. But please be nice. I might cry a little bit. Not actually, though. Thanks for watching. If you want more ranking videos, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.